Welcome to another Monday Blitz. It is so good to have you joining me today online through YouTube as we continue our exploration of the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 12. I'm going to begin with a verse here, Matthew 12. In the middle of it, verse 8, it says, "For the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." Now, if you're from my faith tradition, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Sabbath is a very common term that you're fairly familiar with, and there's a lot of discussions about. However, if you aren't a Seventh-day Adventist, you may not be as familiar with this term Sabbath. And yet, here Jesus in a discussion with religious leaders and a crowd around him begins talking about the importance of the Sabbath. I believe this story here harkens back to a time years before in the Old Testament where, in fact, we get the beginning of this story of the Sabbath. Now we know in the creation story, 6 days God creates the heavens and the earth. And on that sixth day, as part of that creation experience, God creates Adam, man, Adam, human beings. God creates humanity. Now we call the term Adam, we think of as a proper name, but in fact is really a term referring to God created human beings, a human being, a person, a living being that has the ability to choose. Now when we think back to that creation story, following the creation of a human being, Adam, and his spouse, Eve, we get this next little piece of the story, day 7. Now day 7, if you're looking in Genesis chapter 2, it says that they get to the 7th day and God stops working. He stops creating. Now it doesn't say he stops forever the creation experience and process, but he stops for a day. In fact, the first full day of human existence was not working in the field. It was not earning a paycheck. It wasn't going to school. It wasn't any of those things that we focus so much of our time on. Rather, it was literally a day that God stopped working. And then that scripture there in Genesis chapter 2 actually says that God blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. And then there's this big nice word in the NIV, they use the word because. And the author of Genesis explains to us the reason that it is blessed and it is holy is that God stopped working. Now, that may seem kind of like an odd concept. Why would a day be holy? Why would a day be blessed if God stopped creating? Well, apparently God was in the practice of creating all the time. And I believe even today, God is in the process in constantly creating. But in the development, in the creation of earth, in the preparation, in the creating of the human being and preparing humanity to live on this earth, God introduced him to a day, a special day, that he created as a day that was blessed and holy. The only one out of the whole week was what we call Sabbath, the Hebrew word for Saturday. The Sabbath, a wonderful day, a special day, a day set aside by God to apparently be with humanity. And he goes, Adam, you are the first son of God. Now that might sound like an odd statement, but remember, God creates Adam, the son of God, also referred to as a son of man, humanity, the first of humanity. And now we come to the New Testament, and here's Jesus. He's been challenged by some religious leaders as to his practices on Sabbath. And Jesus concludes the first set of questions with this statement, that the Sabbath day was created, and that the Son of Man was Lord over the Sabbath. Now Adam had failed in that role of being Adam, the Son of God. And now Jesus is coming along and he is declaring the Sabbath is not a day to be worshipped. We don't worship a day, but the day is a day of worship of the Creator God. And here Jesus says, as the second Adam, as the Redeemer of humanity, he is Lord of the Sabbath. He is the creator of the Sabbath. He is the master of the Sabbath. He owns the Sabbath. The Sabbath is his. So when you think about Sabbath and this rest, this calling away from the world that God invites us into in a Sabbath experience. Some will say, well, the day doesn't really matter. My activities don't really matter. If God stops creating to give us a day, you would think we would want to experience that day to its fullest. And the fullest experience of that day is with God himself. So as you ponder this week your way of practicing Sabbath, remember that God created this day for you to be with him. What activities, what practices put you in an experience with God, with God's presence, so that the Lord of the Sabbath is Lord of you, and together you create this relationship that can only happen when God isn't focused on all the other work he has to do. And you and I stop all of our distracting activities like our work so that we can experience a beautiful time with him. It is a wonderful thing that God has given the Sabbath to us to be with him. I invite you to experience the Sabbath, time with God, the day he blessed, the day he made holy, the day he focused on his creation, Adam and Eve, you and I. For we all are sons and daughters of God, and he has a whole day that he wants to spend with us. Until next time.